Hello, thank you for being here. Welcome to the Let's Go with Julio show. I have to tell you all about our next guest who is here to talk about communicating with care. Megan Cruz is an Emmy award-winning journalist, executive producer of NASA Live broadcasts. And for over a decade, she built her care for this work in the hardest reporting trenches, covering everything from mass shootings to the opioid crisis. So Megan has really cut her teeth on this work. First, I have to begin with the story. So first of all, it's last month, April 1st. I'm in the living room doing laundry. Jonathan is doing a HelloFresh dinner. I'm streaming through YouTube, just flicking through channels, trying to figure out what to watch. And I see this gorgeous gradient thumbnail. I click on it, and what do you know? There's a wide shot of two women.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us live from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, where we are beginning a new chapter in America's human spaceflight story. We are so humbled to have thousands of people here in person to witness this, and the many more watching online from around the world. I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and this is NASA.
And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, that's Megan. Like, that is Megan. I went to college with this woman who's up there doing her thing. Okay. And I even got a video of it. I'm going to share it with you.
Oh, that's so funny.
There you are in that blue, that gorgeous blue.
That's so nice of you.
So I see Megan and I'm thinking like, oh my God, here is this woman holding millions of people as live around the world. Everybody is about to watch this rocket take off. And I thought, wow, I feel like I'm in the living room with her. I feel like she's right there with me on the TV in such a high stakes communication environment. And I immediately was like, I would love to bring her on the show and ask her about how she does this, because a lot of leaders are trying to figure out, how do we communicate well with care right now? All of us, our nervous systems are kind of conditioned to attach to worst case scenarios, and we don't always know how to communicate well under pressure. And I thought that the Artemis 2 launch was such a brilliant representation of what it looks like to communicate something high stakes so gracefully. And I think that's what we're all trying to do right now. Like, how do we learn to communicate well while staying warm and staying calm and staying ourselves? And I just think that that's a beautiful thing. So seeing you on that camera, I was like, I'm going to message her. And here we are. And I'm so happy and grateful. And I think people are going to love your story. Megan, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for a very, very generous bio that you gave me there. It was nice to hear that you were engaged by it, right? That you were watching, and it was something that you felt like somebody just sitting next to you at home was telling you what cool thing was happening. So that's really nice of you to say.
You must have got so many text messages from people being like,
oh my gosh, my phone was blowing up. Like during the broadcast, I had to like put it on silent actually and say, I'll go to that later. Which is really nice, knowing that people are watching and interested in what NASA does, right? Like I just have this incredible luck of being in this role and being able to share the story. But that's what's validating for me when I do hear people reach out like, hey, our story is resonating with people. It's resonating with people who might not really care about NASA's mission, but they see something that they connect with, and I'm helping create that connection. So
yes.
No, it was great to hear from you.
I want to go to the night before. Like you've obviously the night before, I'm assuming a lot of things have been planned. Here you are at home in your pajamas, taking your makeup off in the mirror, like looking at yourself thinking, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Like, take us to there. I'm so curious.
Honestly, this probably doesn't surprise you because this was me back in college even. Like my brain is just always going. There's always a tick list. There's always a, hey, did you do that? Hey, what's next? Like, so it was really hard to turn my brain off actually. Like I remember a couple of times I was laying down in bed and I would just take out my phone and say, don't forget to do that. Don't forget to do that. Like a text to myself or putting in my to-do list. So yeah. The night before was a little nerve-wracking. I felt like I was ready, but I actually was thinking a lot about the team. Like, did I prepare them enough? All of the little like final things, like, did I do that for them? Because that to me is what makes me nervous. Like, not that I'm not nervous about the role that I'm about to play, but it's kind of like, when you plan your like when it's your birthday and you're like, I don't want to plan my birthday because I'm going to worry about everybody else and I'm not going to just enjoy it. That's the sort of thing. Like I'm always just worrying about other people, and then kind of what I
Yeah.
need to think about falls to the wayside.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about the night before.
Wow. You must have comfort in your partner too, as a support structure to handle something like this, right? Because it's like, how do you go from making dinner to like, okay, well, I'm about to live stream tomorrow to millions of people? Like,
That's sweet, Julio. I wasn't making dinner because I do have a supportive husband. He was making dinner. Or I don't
yes,
even know if I had dinner the night
dinner.
before. Honestly, I'm not it's a blur. Truly, the whole
Wow.
month of April is a blur. I do not think I ate, but that's also not uncommon for me because again, I'm always just like thinking that sometimes I just forget about the basics like eating. But
Yeah,
no, it's really great to have my husband in my corner. We met in TV news, so he just understands the production
he
side of
gets it.
things. He understands like all of the logistic things, the crazy hours, like so yeah, he's a really good sounding board and he knows like if I'm looking at my
Wow.
computer and not acknowledging him, it's probably because I'm super in my own thoughts
Yeah.
about like the production or whatever.
Well, that's beautiful though, having a partner who can honor that and understands and can see you in that. And also like just love that about you. I mean, I think it's so exciting. Do you have a routine before you're getting on the camera? Like something you do, something you say to yourself, a mantra or anything? Like, some singers do like warm ups with their voice or things. Like, do you do any of that or you just go?
I sing in the car.
Yes, me too. I sing on my
Well,
bike.
well, the thing is, like sometimes because we can launch at any hour of the night, day, morning, whatever. So sometimes, literally, the first time I'm about to talk is live on air, or like so. I really
Wow.
just like you said, I have to just get my mouth moving, like make sure that I doesn't sound like I have a frog in my throat. But also, yeah, just to get myself in the mood. Like I don't want to. I really try to have everything buttoned up at least by the day before because I don't want to be going into a big broadcast like still like, oh my God, did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? So I really do try to like button things up so that the in the hours before it is just like, you got this. This will be fun. People will find this informative. They'll find value in it. You put in all this work, like share what you've learned with the public. So I just try to sing on my 1 hour commute to work.
I love that. And that's a takeaway for leaders listening that a lot of times some of the stress and anxiety that we put on ourselves is a function of not preparing enough, not doing what's required of the moment. Like you said, you like to prepare, you like to make sure that the day before the things are ready so that the next day you can be present. So many of us are going from meeting to meeting that we're just
Mhm,
touching it the minute we walk into the meeting or 5 minutes before. And it's
mhm,
like, that's
mhm,
not going to serve you so well. No wonder you're stressed. And
mhm,
guess what? Your
mhm,
team can feel the energy of the fact that you have not prepared for this meeting. And now you're disrespecting people's time,
mhm, mhm,
and you're
mhm,
you're stressed yourself,
mhm.
so
Yeah,
you're
you're not doing any favors for yourself or others.
yeah. Take us to 20 seconds before as it's happening. Like what's going through your mind?
So 20 seconds before the broadcast starts, I think I'm just telling myself, well, hope everything goes well.
Yeah, here
Because
we
especially with
are.
like, yeah, especially about with like live broadcasts, right? You plan, you plan, you plan, you plan, you plan, but live is live, right? Like, so you can make all of these contingency plans, you can prepare, but you just really need to be prepared to pivot. I think that that's like the biggest part of live television, live streaming. So I think in those 20 seconds before, I just said, "You got this." And I had my co-host Nicole, who we've only briefly spoke maybe 3 or 4 times before, but I said, "All right, you ready?" And she was like, "Let's do this." So it's
Wow.
just about like, okay, feet first.
Yeah. It's so beautiful because it's easier said than done. I mean, you make it look really easy. Like even being on camera and being present and being grounded and showing up as authentically you, that's a struggle for a lot of people in our community. A lot of leaders struggle to hold and stay grounded in the midst of a story or communications that they're holding for their team or their people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, like, do you feel the pressure whenever the camera turns on? Are you so used to it now that it doesn't faze you? How do you stay authentically you on camera like that? Because I looked at you and I'm like, oh my God, it feels the same. It's not like a performance. It doesn't feel like that. And honestly, I feel that even in this work, by the way, learning to look at this piece of glass and to recognize that there are people through this thing, and I have to just like try and connect through that thing and connect to people it's a skill.
Well, I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is like, and there are some news anchors, like people who are hosting. Yeah, sometimes you just show up and, you read what's in front of you, you're given the topic and you just have a conversation with something. But specifically at NASA, like a lot of work happens behind the scenes that we're in charge of as well as producers, right? So, like you said, I was the executive producer, one of the executive producers for our Artemis 2 live mission coverage. And it was months and months and months and hours and hours and hours of preparing to just have a live broadcast, not even to host the live broadcast, to just bring in all the technical components, all of the stakeholders, all of the partners, all of the teams to actually producing the live broadcast. So that was like a lot of work. And to your question about, how do you stay authentic? It's just being prepared and knowing the information. Like, this is not a fake it till you make it sort of thing. Like, I think that if anything, if I came across feeling prepared or charismatic, it was because I felt comfortable in what I was doing. I had put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to understand, the logistics of the broadcast, but also the content. So I felt pretty comfortable talking about what was happening live during the broadcast. And I think that that does come across as like charismatic or prepared or, genuine, because I genuinely did care and do care about what I'm talking about. I took the time to learn everything, and I took the time to prepare and produce. And you're seeing the labors of our team's work.
Well, I was thinking that even watching over the several hours of your questioning, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of questions in here. And some of this stuff is scientific and technical. Like you really had to do your diligence to figure out what are we talking about here,
What do you mean, Julio? I'm a rocket scientist. No, I'm not. I am not a rocket scientist.
Oh my gosh.
No,
Wow.
I think in terms of like preparing, I really leaned on probably my news background, and I just was like, what am I curious about? You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. Like, what innately makes me wonder about rocket launches? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the big goal of the Artemis 2 mission? Why should people care? Like, I asked all those questions to everybody that I could get my hands on to understand and filter what I thought were important points that you would want to know at home. Because you guys, right, you don't have the luxury of being able to ask the launch director a question or the scientist or the astronauts a question. So I really tried to put myself in the shoes of people who are watching and ask questions that they might think were interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good takeaway, which is part of communicating with care is a function of putting yourself in the other person's shoes and thinking about how are they going to digest this, the word choice, the tone, the structure, how they're going to interpret and receive what it is that you're trying to communicate, as opposed to just thinking about how you would want it.
Absolutely.
It's bigger than that.
And also listening too, like that really helps communicating with care, because like, say, for example, when I'm interviewing somebody or, I'm next to my co-host astronaut, Nicole Ayers, like if she says something and I just completely ignore it and I move on and I don't acknowledge it, like it looks like I don't care. Right. And people can see that. So, so really listening is a part of it, asking questions and listening. I think that's what makes a good communicator.
Now, before NASA, you spent over a decade in different cities around the United States reporting and covering on the ground. And I feel like that's where you built this muscle, like you said, for curiosity, for care, for meeting people where they're at. And I'm curious, when you reflect on all those years of that type of reporting, some of that was very sad stuff. Some of that was serious stuff. I was doing some research on some of the articles during COVID and the opioid. There were a lot of hard topics that you intentionally went and covered, and it made me wonder, like, what did all that teach you? How did that prepare you for how gracefully you presented yourself on the NASA live stream.
No, that's a really good question. I mean, it ran the gamut for sure in terms of the things that I ended up covering. But I think at the heart of all of my stories were people, right? So again, it goes back to what we were saying, like what is important for people to know, what is important for us to explain to them so that they understand why this affects them. And I still think it's the same at NASA, right? Like these are taxpayer dollars that go into this program. We want to be able to deliver on things that are important to the American people, whether that's science, exploration, discovery, inspiration. Like that's still important. And at the heart of what we do at NASA are people, people understanding again what we're trying to do as an agency for them at home, and how a lot of the science that we do benefits them at home.
Was there a moment that shifted how you do this work, like in the trenches? Is there a moment that comes to mind, you being a reporter on the road in that van? I'm imagining like you in the van traveling with, is that kind of how it
It
was?
sounds like I got kidnapped, Julio. You in the van traveling,
right? But that's what they do, right? A cameraman in a
It is.
van and stuff with the camera. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, this is a good spot.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not a van. Sometimes it's just an SUV. A lot of technology is now smaller, so we don't need a whole satellite van. But yes,
Oh,
I get what
okay.
you're saying there. So you were saying, so your question is,
Yeah, as you reflect back on your time doing that work, is there a moment for you that shifted how you think about communication?
I think every story makes you think about how you communicate, because it's the story that you're covering, but also, again, to your point, like how we need to communicate it so that people care. I mean, especially for like news, and even with NASA too. I mean, we're like anybody else, competing with so many stories that are out there on social media, online. So it's really about like, hey, if I'm going to ask people to be a part or to be along with me for this live news segment or this live broadcast of NASA, like I better give them something worth watching. You know what I mean? That's what is important. I mean, just really remembering that at the heart of every storytelling are people. Like
Or
what are
people?
they getting out of this? What do you hope they walk away with this? Will they feel like they learned something? Will they feel like they're better informed? So I don't know that it's necessarily one particular story, but every story was a reminder, okay, why should people care? And it's your job to communicate that.
Yeah, and I guess just quickly, I'm curious as a communications professional, when you are identifying the person you're communicating to or with, how narrow do you go? How do you know that you've been able to define that well, like versus just generically people? You know what I mean? Like, do you actually, are
Hmm.
you thinking about one person? Are you thinking about, like, how do you decide like this is who we're talking to?
Yeah. So, like, this comes definitely from my news background. It's like, to explain things like you're talking to your mom. You know what I mean? Like somebody who is informed, but maybe is a little bit out of touch. Sorry, mom.
Mm.
Or like needs something explained a little bit more rudimentary. Again, not in a condescending way by any
Yeah.
means, but just really breaking it down for people. And I still keep that in my mind, especially for NASA. Like NASA, it could be very niche. You could say, hey, we're speaking to the media, or hey, we're speaking to, people who live, eat, and breathe space. But we do make a conscious effort to choose everybody's mom. Like to really think about breaking it down for people who, yeah, maybe they don't generally know or care what's happening at the space agency, but maybe this is a moment where we can break in and explain to them why maybe it is worth a couple minutes of their time.
I see. I see. And do you feel like you learned a lot of this stuff on the job just doing this work, or did some of this come from your like Queens upbringing? I'm curious because you had
What do
some of
you
this
mean?
natural, but like you had some of this naturally, like you had some of this like go getter, like get in there, get, attitude of life. And I feel like as a reporter, you have to do some of that. You have to be out there. You have to put yourself out there. So I'm curious, like, did any of your upbringing shape you to as you think about how you communicate in this job?
Well, one thing that I actually find to be a really big compliment that you said is like I'm the same person. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've changed a lot since I was younger. I think I've always been curious. I think I've
Yeah.
always been unafraid to have conversations. So, I've just found ecosystems or environments where I can take that. It is a skill set. Like, again, curious, don't mind talking to people. And I found places where I can use that to really help people, because I do think communicating does help people. It connects people. It helps them learn something that maybe they wouldn't
Yeah.
have learned. So no, I think I've just been lucky to find my big mouth a place to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like I in the sense that like once one of the things that I felt brought us together in school is that we both had personalities, we both had opinions and point of views, and we weren't afraid of sharing it. But what I learned being in California in tech is like sometimes that passion, intense New York Latin energy would be not perceived so well. And sometimes I would get myself in arguments or fights that maybe I shouldn't have. And of course you learn from that. And when you know better, you do better. But I did feel like there was a part of me as I climbed the corporate ladder that lost attachment to myself. I felt like I had to hide or cover certain things, or maybe couldn't be who I was. So I had to present a certain way. And the weight of that gets heavy when you are in a role and you're not actually using your gifts, but you're presenting and it's fake. It starts to wear you down. And
Hmm.
that's why I thought it was interesting seeing like, wow, the fact that it feels so natural. It's like you are aligning your gifts with what you're here to do. And what a beautiful thing. Like that's what I think we're all striving for
Hmm.
anyway.
And I think it's important because, to your point, like what you were saying about, if it weighs on you feeling like you're being fake. It's kind of like how a lie weighs on you. And if you keep lying and lying and lying, at one point you're going to get, mixed up and caught, because it is something that's weighing on you. It takes so much time and energy to be fake,
Yeah.
to keep a lie up. So, I mean, you're only doing yourself and others a disservice to not be who you are. I mean, be respectful. I mean,
Yeah.
because you and I were specifically
Yeah.
talking about just like kind of being
Yeah.
loud and like passionate
Yeah.
is what sometimes I'm referred to as.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that.
Always being
Yeah.
respectful and professional, but
Right. Well, and that's interesting because always being respectful and professional. Sometimes I didn't know that line. Sometimes I was like, I need to tell you what's up, and I need to throw
hmm
you under the bus. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work too well.
hmm
Like
hmm
but that's not a way to create care on the team or to keep morale high or whatever. So it's just, you learn, you do better, you learn.
And also, as you get older, I think you learn, like, hey, give people grace. Maybe they're just
Grace.
having a really bad day, and they're not bringing their best selves to work or wherever. I mean, that's actually something that the Artemis 2 crew talks about all the time. Their spacecraft, they
Mm,
named it integrity. And integrity is, just this ideal that they themselves, each individually, like really aspire to have. And as a team, exactly same. And they also felt like NASA in general, like that's a core part of NASA's identity as well. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes you have integrity and sometimes you don't. You just have to try to bring your best self every day. And if you don't, hopefully people give you the same grace that you can maybe afford them later.
yeah, it's like integrity is all things integrated, and sometimes you're in it and sometimes you're not, and sometimes it's ebbs and flows throughout the day, but the goal is to check with yourself.
Hmm.
Have I
Hmm.
veered off course? Do I need to come back? And what does that look
Hmm.
like? What do I need to do to come back into integrity with myself? Take a
Hmm.
breath. I
And
didn't
I
know
think
that
that
21-year-old
awareness,
Julio didn't understand that.
well, and I think that awareness does evolve with maturity and age, but that awareness, I think, generally makes us better people and better communicators and better leaders, right? Like, because
Yeah.
again, if you're portraying yourself as I'm perfect all the time, like,
Yeah.
that's obnoxious.
Yeah.
So being your true authentic self, whether or not it's a good day or a bad day, I think is something that all of us should strive to do as leaders and as communicators.
Yeah. Now, one of the things with communications, you and I both know, marketing, communications, transmitting a message is that sometimes things will go wrong. In your case, a rocket could have gotten, there could have been any number of issues that could have gone wrong. And I think that there's this interesting balance we play between how do you prepare for that well without letting it consume you and take over, such that you spend a disproportionate amount of your energy as a leader focusing on the negative and the worry and being consumed by the worry, but actually holding hope. And so I'm curious about how you prepare. I mean, here's a person handling communication so carefully, so high stakes. There's, of course, we want this to go well, but there's a probability that something won't go well. And we can't ignore that. We have to be honest about that and see it, but not let it consume the energy of the team. So I'm
Hmm.
curious how you think about that.
Hmm. I think you said it. You prepare, right? Like meet it head on. You know that there are certain risks, especially at NASA. Like we know that we're embarking on very risky ambitions. And so embrace it. Like don't be afraid of it. Don't avoid it because, like you said, it's a reality of what we do. So, yeah. And, when you're talking with leaders who might say, hey, I'm just so worried about what's going to happen, it's consuming me. Like, meet it head on. What about it is really
Mm,
making you nervous? So, like, for example, for us, yeah, like we are literally strapping humans into a rocket and sending them farther from Earth than they've been in 50 years. So, understanding, and these are the teams, and as communicators, we embed ourselves with those teams. Like, how do they mitigate? Any issues that they could foresee. So actually, a lot of time is spent, and they are consumed by a lot of what ifs, but that is so that they can prepare, so that if something does happen, now you don't have to be consumed by it. You're like, oh, okay, we practice this, let's do it, and you can just react. So I
mm.
would actually say
Oh,
consume yourself
totally.
with it before it happens. Prepare yourself so that if
Mm.
it does happen, you're ready to react
Beautiful.
and
Yeah.
lead.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's such, actually, as I recall, one of the interviews from the astronauts is it was exactly that. When you hear an alarm, how do you learn to stay calm? It's like, well, we've heard that alarm in simulation many a times before.
Exactly.
And so we are prepared. We know that once that alarm hits, this is the sequence of things we have to do, as opposed to chicken without a head, which
Exactly.
frankly, a lot of us can operate from reactivity. Things are
Exactly.
moving so fast, and it's like, hang on, how do we prepare for this? What do we need to know? What are the sequence of things happening? Same with
Exactly.
communication.
Yeah, prepare for it before, don't
Yeah.
don't leave yourself to prepare for it in the moment or to react. Like, what do I do now? How do I react? Like, just let muscle memory take over, and so you don't overreact and you still get the job done. I mean, and it's what we
Mm.
did for the broadcast as well. Like, we had a number of rehearsals where we even rehearsed
Oh,
alongside
really?
with the crew, and with the launch team, so that we were like,
Wow.
okay, so if this actually happened the day of, how would we cover it? Okay, so we would probably go to this person so that they could talk very specifically about how the launch team is looking to fix something. Or again, if this were in flight, like specifically our commentators and mission control in Houston, like they also sit on sims to understand. Okay, if this alarm were to go off, the crew would do this. Okay, so this is why we would have to communicate it. The crew is doing this because, so they're this is something that they were expecting. This is not something that would be alarming to them. You know what I mean? So being able to also communicate what is happening, we also embed ourselves in these simulations. And again, these simulations are so important so that you aren't caught off guard.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What about any advice you have for leaders who are dealing with high stakes communication generally, either stuff that you lived experience, or advice you've gotten from a mentor that you hold close when you're dealing with high stakes communication?
Yeah, just embrace what's high stakes about it and prepare.
Yeah.
Like, again, what good does it do to worry and not take action or come up with a plan? Like, that's not what we do in our regular lives. So why wouldn't you bring those same perspectives and same plans to your workplace? Like, if you're a nervous flyer, maybe you don't go on a flight to Europe. Maybe you go to a flight one state away. Like, meet what you're nervous about head on and see and think through what might be the best way to deal with it. And I think that exercise at work as a leader, I think that speaks volumes to your care, and also signals to your team like, I'm ready to lead, and I'm ready to think through what could be issues for us so that you're not caught off guard. I'm ready to lead you, you know?
Yeah, and when you do that, you are sending a signal to everybody that you are leading that I've got this, that we have agency, we are taking charge of a situation, and we are
Mm-hmm.
not letting it take over us, but we're going to come up with a plan, and then that creates a sense of relief, a sense of, okay, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
We got
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What does panic do? You know what I mean?
How
So
does it
again,
serve? Yeah, exactly.
how
What
does it
does
serve
panic
you?
do?
So
Yeah.
exactly. So honestly, again, think about what could make you panic prior so you don't actually panic if it happens.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Actually, a great example of this was the reentry. So for everyone who is watching the live stream, it's for about 6 minutes or so, the screen goes blue for reentry. It's a known situation. I noticed that the team was very clear about communicating that.
Hmm.
Even still, I was journaling the next day and reflecting on like what this whole thing made me feel. And I couldn't wait there was a part of me that couldn't feel total joy for this thing because I would see that blue screen and in a split second, I'd be worried. Did something go wrong? And I thought to myself, wow, how interesting that my mind has been trained through algorithms and so forth to always look for, wait a minute, it can't be that good. Something's got to go wrong. Something's got to go wrong. As opposed to just saying, wow, what a tremendous feat that has been years and years of compounding work across thousands of people to get us there and back safely. What a feat for humans. Like, how can I just invite all of that in versus the temptation to sometimes want to sabotage my joy by being prepared if something goes wrong. And I posted
Mm-hmm.
about it on the internet, and a lot of people messaged me and said, thank you for sharing that. I felt something similarly.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it was interesting because you don't have time for that. Like, you don't have time to sit there and worry in the chair. Like, you have to hold the hope for all of these people who are watching. And I just thought I would share that with you. I thought that was interesting, and I'm curious, how do you do that? How do you hold hope when the world, we're so trained to brace for tragedy, for something to
Mm-hmm.
go wrong, but you have to say no. We're going to stay hopeful in this.
Well, I don't know that we're trained. I think it's human nature. We're always just risk averse. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
as humans, like you see it with like a kid, finally exploring like their room or something like that, or finally their first time out into their front yard, like a little bit of trepidation. So I think that's just human
yeah.
nature. And I think it's fine to feel that. I think, again, this goes back to knowing the risks and saying, okay, loss of signal, because that's what you're talking about, that there's a loss of signal. And that's just because with communication networks, it's like a dead zone, right? It's like
Yeah.
a dead zone
Yeah.
with your cell phone. So I think that's a communicator's job to also say this, to put things into context. Like, yes, this might look scary, but actually, like, because we've asked questions, we know exactly what is happening here. We can equate it to something that is relatable to you that maybe isn't as scary. So that's how you, to your, how you put it. That's how you hold on hope. Like I think I've always been that person. Like, I'll interview you for an hour for my like 2 minute story on the news because I really want to understand every little single thing, because that makes me feel like I can correctly articulate things like that, like specifically risks. And I can give a lot of context into what you're seeing so that you at home who's watching this don't unnecessarily get
Mm,
nervous about something that actually is
yeah.
pretty routine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. And you're right. It's not that we're trained, it's that we're risk averse. Although you can argue that, certain algorithms are designed to help us look for sort of more polarized hysterical things. But yeah, I think you're right. Like,
That's
we
an
are human
algorithm.
beings.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
risk averse. Like, we want comfort. So things that scare us, it's like, we're heightened to it. I feel
Hmm.
sometimes,
Hmm.
especially now these days. Communication is rarely just one leader. There's a whole team supporting your efforts in terms of how you're going to communicate a message out to people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it starts way before like I or our other commentators, mission commentators even go on air, right? Like it's talking about, hey, what is this mission? What do we hope people take away from it? What is it that we're trying to inspire the next generation with? So really it's You do. You have to have your core tenets about what it is that you're trying to communicate to people. And then specifically, you should think about, okay, who are my audience? How do they like to receive information? And so for me and my realm, it's the live medium. We have the opportunity to communicate in so many different ways, like yes, the live broadcast, and
Mm,
this is something that communicators and leaders should think about. Like there are so many different platforms with so many different kinds of audiences, and they like to receive information in very, very different ways. So a lot of times you do have to tailor the message so that it resonates. Like
mhm,
YouTube, they like long form, but like TikTok or
mm.
Instagram, it's very short form. So we have people on our digital side that are like, okay, well, there's this long segment that we just saw live on NAS Plus. While very interesting, if we want our TikTok audience to care, that has to be less than 15 seconds. So it's about curating the information that we put out as well. So considering all of that, now it probably isn't a surprise that communications is such a huge team. Just launch alone from the communication standpoint, well
Yeah, tell
over
me.
100 people.
Wow.
And this is something that we talk about a lot at NASA as well, is like for the longest time, people would have to go to a news agency to get information. But now, what is new is that a lot of us, for example, NASA, we have an opportunity to have our own audience and tell the story the way that we would like to tell it. Because like maybe a news agency wants to take it like more serious, but like we again are thinking a lot about kids and inspiring that next generation. So really like the way that we like to communicate is we are thinking about everybody, from the 6-year-old to the 86-year-old. So giving context about, yes, for those of you who might remember Apollo, and also thinking about the kids who know nothing about what we're talking about, but they know that they have a toy rocket in their backyard and they love to fly with it. So I think that's what's new, like having our own platform, having our own audience.
And by the way, that's really relevant for a lot of leaders right now, a lot of founders. Um, or actually, I feel like socially, it's becoming the case. Societally, it's becoming the case that the CEO or the founder is the head of the brand. Like they have to have a presence, like going direct to the consumer and meeting them where they're at on social media or through any variety of channels, as opposed to having an intermediary.
Hmm.
That's the shifting media landscape. That's sort of the nature of it. And I actually thought it was wonderful to hear directly from NASA. I mean, we watched the whole live stream. My husband and I is a big fan, and being able to get that kind of access to the various interviews and being on the boat, the whole thing was just what a joy to. And I can only imagine what the run of show document looked like for so many hours. I mean,
So run of show again, yeah, people think a lot of it is scripted. I mean, even some people on NASA, they're like script, script, script. I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, there are certain things that, like, again, how you freeze it, you don't want to butcher because it has a very specific meaning to it. Everything is so technical, so you don't want to oversimplify it and then it's actually not correct. So
mm,
there are some things that, yes, like I would like to read through it so that I am not butchering it. But for a lot of, especially a mission involving astronauts, like there's so much dynamic activity, and we're talking for so long, and we're explaining what you're seeing and what they're doing, that all you can do is kind of just like study what's happening here. And so I just usually have like bullets to say, like, orange suits, like those are, my God, now I can't remember the name of it. Orion crew survival suits, ox. So like I'll just have that as a bullet, but nothing is scripted. Like I'm literally watching a TV set. I'm watching the camera feeds from wherever it is and saying, oh, well, I'm seeing Victor right now. He is
yeah.
waving to Angela. Angela is his suit technician and she's responsible for this. So it's literally just like learning the information so that you could just talk about it. We're not spouting it out as talking points. It's like I have lived and studied what I'm about to see so that I can explain it to you.
What do you think senior leaders get wrong about the work it takes, what it means to communicate effectively and with care?
I think care is understanding who your stakeholders are and finding a happy medium. For example, like the scientists or the engineers. we show care by trying to articulate everything that they care about, which can be very much in the weeds. But at the same time, we have to balance that with the public and the fact that that might be a little bit too high level for them.
Mm,
So I think
totally.
or I'm sorry, too much in the weeds, and so we have
Yeah.
to go high level. I think what leaders or communicators might find challenging is it's not that you want to diminish their work, these scientists, these engineers' work. You want people to appreciate it, but in order for them to appreciate it, we have to find a way that speaks to them, that makes it more relatable, more accessible.
That's so true because I even felt this in tech as a marketer. As we would say, a product is not a set of features, it's a story. So I know you want us to talk about every single feature every single
Exactly.
engineer worked on. But if
Exactly.
we just do a laundry list of features, no one's going to understand the narrative of what we're actually trying to communicate here.
Exactly.
So let's figure out, how do we bundle it? How do we tell the story? How do we find a And that means sometimes things will get a little deprioritized, or there's a way to frame it, and you're playing with it. You're figuring out, how do I translate this in a way that the person can receive?
Exactly. And it's something that still probably upsets a lot of communicators is when some people say, "Oh, well, you're putting a spin to it." It's not a spin. It's trying to say the same thing in a different way so that
Mm.
somebody relates to it. You know what I mean? Like
Ooh,
it's the
that's
same
big.
information. It's literally just like something that you, Julio, might care about is something that
Mm.
me, Megan, doesn't care about. So how do I find something that's relatable to the both of you? But at its core, the information is the same. It's just you're trying to
Mm.
make things more accessible.
Now, how do you determine whether it is that way or it's manipulation? What does your intuition say?
Well, one thing I love about working at NASA, honestly, is that we are a very transparent organization. Like we hear it in every meeting. Don't forget we have to be transparent. How can we be transparent? Are we releasing as much information as we can? Even with our live broadcasts, like our going in plan is, if something bad were to happen, it was a bad day. Our plan is that we stay on for as long as we can give you new information. So I do really appreciate that. And I think it comes down to culture. And if you work at a company where the culture is open, transparent, and wanting to share information, then you don't have to really worry about spin as much. But yes, there are some organizations, people who, yeah, it's probably a healthy dose of skepticism about what's coming out of those places, right?
Yeah, or sometimes people undervalue the importance of the communications role. They think it's an afterthought, and we can just do it at the last minute. We'll do a quick email, and they don't realize the methodical nature of communications to actually bring people in sooner and help us shape the message, shape
Sure.
how we're actually doing it. You know.
Yeah, it's a skill. It really is. And it's like when people are like, "Oh, you're a young person. You're in your 20s, so you must be really good at social media. Why don't you be the social media person?" And you're like, "Wait, what? I know nothing about social media. Like just because I'm young doesn't mean that I know how to work and shape that medium."
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
I do love the fact that we're getting to talk about this because yes, I do feel like that happens often, that it is like communications is easy, but that is just communications, period. You want good communication, you want great communication, you want strategic communication, then yes, that absolutely takes people, that takes time, that takes a team.
Is there a lesson? Is there a learning, like a leadership lesson or a learning, as you think about advice for teams right now who are coming together to do hard things?
I think a lesson for me is that I I really view my role as removing barriers for the team and setting the team up for success as much as possible. It's not me doing their job. It's not me standing over their shoulder. It's not me ready to jump in because, well, I can do this better. It's literally about enabling people, trusting their skills, saying, hey, you have everything you need to know. You can do this. I have faith in you, but not just saying I have faith in you. You'll do great. You'll do great. Not that. It's literally equipping them with the tools. But then, yes, at the end of the day, saying I know you have the tools, you'll be great at this, you know? Like to me, I did feel like if I could step away and say, okay, now I'm going to focus on being at the desk and people were able to execute well, like that was a success for me. And I do think this team really executed well. I mean, we at NASA lost a lot of people last year. And so we had a lot of people stepping into roles that they might not have been in, taking on additional jobs on top of what they already do. So it was really challenging to come together and make sure that we were bridging any information gaps, any technical gaps, making sure that something doesn't fall through the cracks because we just didn't know that it was getting done because somebody has been there for so long institutionally doing something. So it really was a challenge for this team to overcome. And I think that they did a wonderful, wonderful job. And to your point,
Wow.
yes, specifically from a live broadcast perspective, it isn't just about writing and delivering. There is so much technical work that goes behind a live broadcast that, to tell you the truth, that's not my primary skill either. I'm not a TV engineer, you know what I mean? But we were working together to bring in, I mean, dozens of feeds, all these feeds from the rocket, all these feeds from the spacecraft as it's going to and from the moon. All of these helicopter aerials that were circling the Navy ship as the astronauts were getting helicoptered back onto the ship. Like, there's just so much that we had to do. Everything from like, since you mentioned my blue blazer, like literally everything from what cameras we need to have somewhere so that we could tell the story to like what people were wearing that day, we had to think about. And I think that teams really rose to the occasion, and I think people saw
Hmm.
that.
Wow, that is beautiful. I love that. I just love the sound of that because I can appreciate, the marketer in me having launched big products, in tech. I can appreciate in a small way all the things that come together, all the pieces and the components. Like the other day I was walking past, even just walking past Madison Square Garden, and you see all the trucks outside with all the live equipment because they need
Hmm.
all these external machines to come in to park
Yes.
to run all of the live equipment, and they're
Yes.
feeding it into MSG. And, it's a
Yes.
real. There's a lot of pieces that have to come together.
Yeah. 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 And, you need to make sure that there's redundancies. You don't want something like pooping out like a piece of equipment and now, whoops,
Yeah,
sorry, can't show you this this mission to the moon that hasn't been done in more than 50 years because something pooped out. And we do, even
yeah,
internally. We have so many different stakeholders that we want to be able to, meet what they want to be able to
yeah,
share with the public. So balancing all of
yeah.
that. So yeah, like I said, just really proud of the team for stepping up and making sure that they flagged any risks or spoke up about any barriers that they might have to success, because that's what makes it a team, right? It shouldn't necessarily always flow from the top down. Like a successful team is, you you empower your team to speak up, so information goes that way too.
You said removing barriers, and I love that. I do believe that that's the job, right? You see the potential in people, you nurture that as a leader, you unblock, you remove barriers. But that can sometimes be tricky for some people because they don't have the faith. You also use that word too. I have faith in you. And so I'm curious what advice you'd give for leaders who are trying to cultivate faith in a new team. There's been a reorg, there's been a shift. They have a team that they did not expect, and they're trying to build faith in that team.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to
Mm-hmm.
them?
I mean, you could start small. Trust is something that is earned. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that punitively. I mean like giving opportunities to learn one another and grow together. Start small and then build up, and then yeah, you'll have faith.
Yeah, I think it's trust. That's the word. It's there's such a there. I'm noticing that there is a lack of trust in these rooms, that in these tech rooms and all across big tech, and it's because everyone's a little worried. So we stay close and we're not sure who to trust. When in actuality, if we just breathed a little and just let go and just showed a little bit more of ourselves,
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
would be able to transmit more trust across the team and actually get more done as a function of that. And
Mhm.
it's connected to the faith. You have to have faith in the people that you're with. instead of trying to take over their role or try and do everyone's job. And then you're exhausted. How do you delegate? How do you make sure that people have what they need to do their role? I love that you said that.
And I think what you said that's really important is like letting go, like letting people in, because if you're not expressing some of the concerns that you might have or feelings that you're experiencing that are making you want to take over, because especially in tech, like there's a lot of high stakes going on. I mean, things move lightning fast too. Technology is changing so quickly, and it is so important to be at the forefront of your field. So I understand why leaders might feel that like apprehension and like wanting to micromanage and say, hey, I got to do this, and not having that faith or trust in the team to do it, because so much is riding on you as the leader. But I mean, even just opening up to a certain extent to your team to say that, like, hey, listen, if I'm coming across as a little micromanagement, call me out on it. I really don't mean it.
Mm,
What it
I
is
love
I'm just
that.
so like nervous about this, or this is weighing heavily on me, or this is keeping me up at night. Like that openness,
Yes.
open communication. Again, communication is key, even
Yes.
internally. Like that will make you have faith in your team and vice
Yeah.
versa.
And that little example is communication with care. It's like, how can you be self-aware enough? Do you know what it does to somebody when you're like, listen, sometimes I do this. Micromanaging could be a thing. If it happens, keep me honest.
Hmm.
Call me
Hmm.
out. Let's talk about it. Cause that's not the person I want to be, but it could happen. Like that, just offering that goes such a long way,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
such
even
a
say
long
like
way.
saying thank you. You know what I mean? Or good
Yes.
job. You know what I mean? Like, no, you don't have to say good job. It is my job. I have to do it. But man, just to be seen or just to be felt, just to be
Appreciated.
appreciated, exactly, goes a long way. And appreciated doesn't need to mean to, be this big show or like, I mean, a bonus would be nice, but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily have to be these big gestures. Like one thing that I love about my boss when I first started is, so she has like a list of our favorite like snacks. Don't ask me
Mm.
why mine are chocolate covered raisins. That's so
Oh,
old. That's like such an old thing to
oh.
say. Like I like raisins. Anyway,
Yeah, what brand even makes chocolate covered raisins?
Raisinets, right? Is it raisin?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I
Yeah.
actually haven't had it in a while, but like she asked us all for some of our favorite snacks, and she also
Mm,
specifically asked us, and she had us like take this quiz that's like about our love language, like our work love language. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like how do we
yeah,
like to be appreciated? So yeah, if I do a really good job, like I don't need a big show. Like I just like a small little card left on my desk. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, so she knows that there are people in her office who don't like the
yeah,
big show. Something left on their desk.
yeah.
Like one time, yeah, I had just had a box of Raisinets on my desk, or I just had a
Mm,
card. Like I think that is such a small thing that speaks volumes. And
totally.
that's something that, again, in the vein of the question of you saying like how can leaders build trust, like, you know give what you
Yeah.
want back, right? Like,
Yes, yes. No, it's true, and it can happen in small moments. That what you just
mhm,
described as a micro moment, but people feel that. People feel especially in a world where there's so much virtual, there's so much Slack, there's so
mhm,
much digital back and forth. Just
mhm,
taking a little bit of time to care. I think we come
mhm,
back to this word. How can you care about this person enough to go and just do a little bit to create the bonds of trust? They go such a long way. Such a
mhm,
long way. Every time I was mediating a challenge at a company, and I asked the question, so have you taken this person out to lunch or dinner and just had a heart to heart with this person? Like, have you actually left the office and went and talked about it together? And the amount of people that were like, no, I would not do that. And it's just like, how do we start to think about the relational components, those small things, small gestures to really
mhm.
connect with somebody beyond a an action item that I'm going to ping you that I want done by end of day Friday.
Mhm, mhm. Well, and what you touched on too is like, again, in this virtual world, like what if you can't go to lunch with someone? What if your manager or your boss like is in another state? Like how do you create those moments of like, hey, let's just go out for a drink and let's do this happy hour and let's really just hash it out. Like I think that is something that we need to think about in this day and age that's more difficult than it was before, for sure.
And in fact, I think it's more interesting if the person on the team makes the effort. I mean, I felt like I was always that person. Like I'm not afraid to message the VP and ask them to dinner. Like, you know what? I used to do that. And guess what? It worked. Like, and I remember once I DM'd the VP of marketing at Google. I was like, I'm in New York. I'm traveling to California. I would love to have lunch. And I was like, if he doesn't respond, he doesn't respond. He responded and we had lunch. And I asked him, like, and I was like, why did you say yes? Like, you have all these competing priorities. He's like, you would be amazed at how many people don't do this, because I hit a point where people are scared to message me for what I would say. So they don't even reach out. And he's like, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Mm-hmm.
So I that stuck with me. If you don't ask, he said that line, if you don't ask, you don't get. And I just remember thinking, okay, I'm going to take that and just keep that right there. If you don't ask for it, you're never going to get it. So just go for it. And that's really how I built a lot of my careers. I was just, people would say, use the word shameless, but I would just get out there and ask a question. Sure, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, thankfully, you have that personality. You're so funny. Thankfully, you have that personality. And so certain people can do that. But like, I think as a leader, you should cultivate that. Like, it should come, something like that, I think should come from up top.
I feel like you have that too, though. Like, you have I'll just get up there and I mean, the other day I was on the train going to Long Island and there was a camera with a guy, CBS News, and he was just going up to people on the train asking, hey, and I thought that takes courage. You just have to go up to people and be like, hey, are you willing to talk? What's your name? What's your question? I'm like, that like, you got to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, you know how many times people ignore you? You're like, cool, thanks.
Or are they like, oh my God, I can be famous. Like, yes, I'm on the news.
Yeah. And like a lot of times too, like even when I first started, like I was a photographer, so I was behind the scenes and I was that person who you just saw in the train interviewing people by myself or whatever it is, right? So yes, innately, as you were saying, like you and I are very similar and we're like, hi.
Yeah. But
like,
not
take
for everybody.
me for who I am. But it's
everybody.
not for everybody. And I think that's the point that I would walk away with, which is, again, if this is for leaders and we're trying to help leaders be better communicators, don't necessarily leave it to people with very specific personalities to reach out, because
That's
you might be overlooking or undervaluing someone who could be an asset. It's just they're not the Julios and Megans of the world.
No, thank you for saying that. That's good. I'm glad you shared that. That's totally true. As you look back on it, I mean, all last month, do you feel like you've had time to reflect, or are you on to the next thing already?
I have only started to reflect because, yes, it's been kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Like to be completely frank, it's like it was great seeing the reaction externally to everything that was going on. And that's exactly what, it makes you feel like, okay, this is why we're doing it. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things like, hey, we could tell this story, we could shout it from the rooftops, and if nobody's hearing it, like we didn't really do our job. So to hear that people were really resonating with this and hearing and following along was great, but it was also a lot of pressure. So now it was really about like making sure that you give them what they expect. You give people and answer a lot of these questions that were coming in, because we were really piquing people's interest. This was the first time we were doing this mission around the moon in more than 50 years. We have a lot of people who have never seen the moon, any moon landing. So a lot of pressure to make sure that we're meeting the moment. So it was really hard to be in the moment and to enjoy it as it was happening. And then right after, of course, it's like, hey, while things are really still fresh in our minds, and I'm not saying this is a criticism, I did want to do this. It's like, what do we do to improve things? Like, are there lessons learned as we can move forward for 3 and 4? So really, that's where my mind has been the last couple of weeks. But we actually just found out 2 days ago that we won Telly Awards for our live mission coverage. So so that was finally a moment where I was like, okay, let me take myself out of the minutia of the work and like really reflect on it the way that the public is. And so, I'm getting there. I think I'll get there, but Probably because I care too much. Speaking about care, like I probably
Yeah.
just care too much,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a good and a
Well,
bad thing, right? Like,
yeah, no, totally, totally. Which, well, that's why I like that your husband has your awards hanging up back there because you need to be reminded of that every time you go into the living room or just how amazing you are.
I hate it. I mean, you and I talked a little bit
Woo!
before this podcast. You were like, do you like watching yourself? And I was like, heck no. I hate it. I literally hate it. I
Really? You
know I
don't?
hate it. Yeah, I really hate
Ah,
it.
that's so
I think it
funny.
goes back to like again just being a perfectionist or like even when I'm in the moment and I'm live, like if I stumble or it takes me a second to think of something, I think, "Gah!" And I like really beat myself up over it and then I watch it. I force myself to watch it and I'm like it's not that bad. But like again, you build things up in your head in such a way that yeah, sometimes I'm just like I really don't want to watch this. I don't want to
Yeah.
watch it. I don't want to watch it.
I want to close with so last week was NYU graduation. There was purple everywhere, of
Oh.
course. And I was thinking, just nostalgically reflecting back on that time. And so I'm curious, what would you say if you had a message for younger Megan just graduating NYU? Like, what would you say to her looking back?
Oh my god. Funny enough, I have I'm speaking at a commencement tomorrow, like I'm the keynote speaker and I still have to refine
Oh, stop
that speech. So thanks for the exercise because I probably have to have this answer. What what would I tell younger Megan? Let me put myself again exercising like communicating like how would you communicate?
Yeah,
Let me put myself in younger Megan's shoes.
yeah, do that.
So, graduated with a journalism degree. I had a job and internship lined up. I think that this is said often, but I think it's said often because it needs to be said often.
Mm,
You don't have to have everything figured out, and you don't have to be afraid about changing your mind. Because, like, sure, I had a job and I loved news, but now I'm not in news and I'm doing something else. I think what's important for people to embrace is not the roles and not the company and not a title and not even like lanes in particular. It's like, how are you growing as a person? Like, how are these different opportunities allowing you to grow as a person? And what skills are you walking away with from those opportunities? Because oftentimes, skills are very, you can take them anywhere. Like
mm,
being a good communicator, you can take everywhere. But if you say,
yeah.
I'm a news reporter, by saying I'm a news reporter, maybe only a news station wants to talk to you. So
Mm.
it's really like allowing yourself to grow in skills that really innately speak to you and then finding the niche versus being so focused on the niche, the title, the role, the lane. Does that make sense? Should I say
Yes,
this at the commencement address
beautiful.
tomorrow?
Yes. No, I think people need to hear that. I think you're right. People say it because it needs to be said. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have it all figured out at that age. We're it's unraveling, it's unfolding before us. I mean, look at how your career has unfolded. It's in such a beautiful way. Like I when I started this, I was like, I don't want to overthink this. I just want to find leaders who are out there doing brave, courageous things and then bring them in and hero them and show them as a demonstration for everybody else who's looking to access their courage right now.
Yeah, I love being able to catch up with you. And really I think it's overly generous to say like courageous or brave, but I actually think you're right. Like life is hard. Like I never would have said it myself, but now as you
Yeah.
say it, like life is hard. Finding your way is hard. Like
Yeah.
finding how to carve out something that's important to you is hard. Learning to let go of things that are really important to you, to trust others, also really hard. So actually,
Mm.
thank you for opening my eyes to, yeah, looking at life through that specific lens.
Yes. Yeah, that it is hard and that is the work for us to do. So you're modeling that. Whether I know you don't like to look at yourself a lot, but this is it. Like looking at you being like, wow, you're modeling that for a lot of people. So may people see themselves in your story and I certainly am inspired by the way you hold yourself on camera. Like it's a journey for me. This first podcast, I was pulling teeth. It was so uncomfortable, but little by little, I'm getting better.
Oh, you're great. I was going to tell you afterwards, actually, you're great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Oh my gosh. Bye everybody. Thank you for being here, Megan. Mwah. Thank you. Bye. That's it for our show this week, everyone. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe if you're enjoying the content. It helps us grow. This show is edited and produced by Ricky Gutton, and the music is by Nick Deutsch. If something in here landed for you, shoot me a note. I want to hear about it. The handle is @Let's Go with Julio. Have a great day, y'all. Let's go.